Hello everyone, how are you all doing today? My name is Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Today I want to talk about fathers, okay? I want to talk about just the role that fathers play in the psychology of their children. And I also want to talk about, what can happen to men who are alienated from their kids, because that is not spoken about enough, right? So for those of you who know me, you know that I'm crazy about my dad. I'm a daddy's girl. Some of you may not know that, but I love Father's Day because, I have so much love for my dad, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. My dad has a lot to do with why I am the kind of woman that I am. He has a lot to do with that. He was in my life every single day of my life. Every single day. My dad was there. Every single day he was talking to me and present, teaching me things, okay? And in my family, there's nobody in my family who grew up, not knowing who their dad was, or this whole fatherless narrative. But as an adult, many people that I come across, okay, not just black people, but you could say especially a lot of black people, that father wasn't in their life. And all of the relationships that I've had with men, okay, all of the relationships I've had with men, they've all been black men. They all had jacked up relationships with their dads, and they had, daddy issues. I used to think that was just a girls thing, like, oh, girls have daddy issues, not realizing that boys can also have serious daddy issues that messes with their self-esteem and their sense of self. I've also known men who didn't have a father in their life who did the work, and they're great men and they're great fathers. So it doesn't stunt everybody if they do the work, right? And I think that, I'm all about holding men accountable who are not there for their kids and being good fathers, right? But on the flip side, every situation is different. There's not one narrative or one story. On the flip side, I have a very good friend of mine. I would say he's my best friend. He is somebody, I talk to him more than anybody, any female friend of mine or whatever. And he's a great man. People love him, men love him, women love him, children love him. I mean, he's a school teacher, for goodness sakes, right? And he had a very close relationship with his daughter. But when he divorced the mother of his daughter, she, made a lot more money than him. And I'm not going to, get into too much details in this video, but she did a lot of things to manipulate the situation and make sure that he stayed away from his daughter. And he would sneak and try to see her. And then over the past few years, it's like, it was just totally blocked on so many levels. It's absolutely one of the craziest stories. And he has called me crying so many times. So many times, heartbroken. And I have seen conversations on social media where men have spoken about, like just yesterday I saw something on Facebook where one man made a post about one of his friends that committed suicide because he was alienated from his children, right? Because he was alienated from his children, he killed himself. This is a white man, right? There is a documentary on Netflix about this too that I saw some years ago, and there was a whole bunch of white men who were talking about, the mothers of their children, how they were alienating them from their kids, and this is making these men extremely depressed. So I can't stand, this when people think that like mothers are the only ones that love their kids. I mean, you find more fathers, because there are a lot of dads who are a piece of shit who are not in their kids' life, and it wasn't because the mother was keeping them out of their life. It's just because they just didn't care about their damn kids. And a lot of the children who have fathers like that, they want to believe that some kind of conspiracy kept their father away, and it's like, no, you just had a piece of shit of a father who chose not to be there. And I don't think that those men deserve sympathy and empathy. Like if I had a piece of shit dad who just wasn't in my life and chose not to take care of me, there's no way as an adult that I would do shit for him, But I see a lot of people who have piece of shit fathers. You know, when they're grown, they're all up their father's ass so badly, trying to get acceptance and trying to do things, but their dad doesn't even care about them. Right? I'm not with that. I would say fuck that man. But on the flip side, and on the flip side, the women who purposely try to keep their children away from their father because they broke up with him and they're mad at him or whatever, I think that that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think that women should hold those women accountable, and women should call those women out. Just like men should call out the men who are choosing not to take care of their kids and be good dads. It needs to be called out, period. It needs to be called out for the kids, because there's so many people are damaged for life because their father wasn't there. And I know the importance of having a father in the house every day and present in my life every day, because I wouldn't be the type of woman that I am if it wasn't for my dad. Okay? You know, my love for reading and research came from my dad. My dad, you know, drilled that into my brother and I. Ever since we could think, he would tell us, don't form an opinion about shit. Don't open your mouth to utter your opinion on anything until you have thoroughly researched it from all sides. Even when we were kids, I remember the first time I went on the radio. It was when I was 8 years old. I went on my dad's radio show in New York City, a live radio show. And I went on there to talk about women's reproductive rights and the animal rights people. Because back then, they were throwing paint on people who had on fur coats. And I had my little rabbit fur. And my dad used to take me to Lincoln Center and would take me to, you know, see performances. And I had my little rabbit fur. And when I was a kid, and I used to say to myself, if somebody throws some paint on my coat, I'm kicking them in the shins. I'm going to kick until I draw blood. Nobody better not throw no shit on my coat. I was a kid thinking that. So I remember, you know, talking about the animal rights people on his show, and I was saying, I wish I could take them all and put them in Yankee Stadium with a bunch of lions and see if the lions would feel the same way about them, all right? Then I also, the kids ended up being victimized by the beef between their parents, exactly. And then I also remember talking about women's reproductive rights. And my dad I was 8 years old. He would challenge me on things I was saying. He wasn't giving me a pass because I was 8. He would trip me up with facts and questions. Oh, you can't answer that? You better think about that harder. You better go do some research. What are your resources? Okay? When my brother and I, because I have a twin brother, when we gave people gifts, it didn't matter if it was a kid, an adult, an elderly person. When we gave people gifts, we had to give them books. Okay? That came from my dad. Okay? He had serious intellectual conversations with us. And he spent time with us both. And the thing is that what I got from my mother, and I love my mother to death. Oh, okay, I got you. Hey, Netter. What I got from my mother was different than what I got from my dad. You know, my dad, ever since I was a kid, always taught me about how to protect myself in case a man ever tried to attack me. He started teaching me these things from like 3 years old. And to this day, he still does that. I'm grown. I'm really, really grown now. But my dad still gives me so many lessons about what to do if a man ever tries to put his hands on me without my permission. Period. How to seriously hurt a man. He taught my brother how to fight. He taught me how to seriously harm a man with weapons. Okay? If he ever tried to put his hands on me. And my mom didn't teach me that. You know what I'm saying? So, may your dad rest in peace if he passed away. And my heart goes out to those whose fathers, you know, aren't with them. You know, like holidays can be triggering. Mother's Day can be triggering for people who lost kids, lost mothers. Same thing with Father's Day and other holidays too. So, to anybody out there who lost their dad, and I know a few people whose fathers passed away recently, and my heart truly goes out to you. But I just want to say that, you know, this idea that, because some people think that fathers aren't as connected to their kids. And some people might think that because some dads aren't. You know what I'm saying? But there are a lot of dads who are. My dad is more sentimental than my mother. My dad always expresses his love for me. Always. Like whenever time I go to New York, like I should be there right now. I was going to spend the day with him. I was going to go and cook for him because he loves my food. And cooking is my love language. I cook for people who I really love and care about. But I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I had like a really bad headache, so I canceled my flight, and I'll be going to New York in a few days. But What was I about to say? I just lost my train of thought. Oh, that whenever I'm around my dad, he's always asking me to give him a kiss. My mother never asked me to give her a kiss. My mother doesn't kiss on me. My dad does. My dad, I've seen my dad cry. My dad he's a tough guy. He's a tough black man, strong black man. But I've seen him cry. So when people have this narrative that, oh, men can't cry and black men can't cry, I've seen my dad cry. And my dad was in the front lines of the civil rights movement. He was a black radical. He's ready to die. Okay, my dad has an amazing story. It's something I'm very proud of. I'm proud of both of my parents. But yeah, my dad, he's definitely a sentimental person. So for me, just having him in my life the way I did, I understand I understand the difference between being protected by a man and being controlled by a man. And when I went to college, I started to see girls who didn't have a dad in their life. All my friends growing up either had their dad or they had a stepdad. But when I went to college, it was like I started to see girls who had, most of them who had really bad relationships with their dads. They would get caught up in a lot of dumb shit, They'd be falling in love with every man that was nice to them or every man they had sex with. And they were looking for this love from a man, that they missed from their dad in relationships. I've never done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, romantic love is different than a love from my father, right? But because I have a love from my father, I'm not looking for acceptance from men. I am happy with the woman that I am. I work on myself every single day, inside, outside, mentally, physically, whatever. I'm happy with the person that I am. And being in a loving relationship with a man who understands and accepts me how I am, great. But I'm not over here trying to change myself to something I'm not just for the acceptance of a man, just so this man doesn't leave me, or just putting up with bullshit for a man. I know what it's like. I'm not lacking male love. You know what I'm saying? And again, even though romantic love is different than love from your father, I still think when you have that base, of love from your dad, and he poured into your self-esteem. My dad was always the kind of person that said to me, whatever man is with you, he's lucky, okay? And there are times when I had a breakup with somebody. I remember like 8 years ago, I had this really traumatic breakup. My dad was like, man, fuck him, okay? Get with a man. You know what? Actually, what my dad said to me was, when I was a little girl, right? And my dad was a very pro-black man. And he said to me, of course I prefer you marry a black man, but that's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is that whatever man that you're with is just as crazy about you as I am, okay? That's what my dad used to tell me. And he's like, I'd rather be with a white guy or an Asian guy that treats you right than a black guy that abuses you or doesn't treat you right, right? And, so that always stayed in my mind. My dad, he compliments me, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, my whole life. Until this day, it's been consistent. Always very loving, but also protective. Teaching me how to protect myself, how to avoid conflict with men, right? So I expect those things from a man that I'm with. I can't be in a relationship with a man who's not protective. But I'm not saying that I'm trying to put him in harm's way, because I'm not trying to do that. I have a twin brother as well, and I would never want my twin brother to get arrested or get hurt trying to defend me. So I've always been very conscious of not putting him in that situation, meaning, like, you see a lot of women who will mess with really abusive men, right? And then they want to call their brother to come help them and come beat this dude up or something. But, and then a lot of times those women get back with those men again. But you're putting your brother or whatever male that you call into the situation into harm's way. You could call your brother to come help you because the dude is messing with you, and your brother could get killed. He could get seriously injured. He could kill somebody or seriously injure them and end up going to jail. I never wanted to put my brother or my dad and the men in my life in that situation. So I avoided a lot of things to begin with, first of all. But they would do it if they ever had to. You know what I'm saying? But I was always very conscious of not wanting to even put them in harm's way. So when I say a man that's protective, I don't mean that I'm trying to just be out here being reckless and just have a man come fight my battles and put him in harm's way. I don't mean it in that way. But I mean, like, and I know the difference between protection and control. So when I was like in my early 20s, I would do a lot of bikini shows and lingerie shows. And I'm sorry, there's a fly in here bothering me. And there were times that my twin brother, yeah, exactly. There are times that my twin brother would come to some of my shows, and he would stand at like the base of the stage, like my bodyguard. You just watch and just be like, nobody better not put their hands on my sister type thing. There was a time in my early 20s when I was in college when men were wild disrespectful. They were always like grabbing me at parties and putting their hands on me. And I didn't even want to go to a party with my brother because I'm like, if my brother ever saw that shit, he would lose it. Okay? When my brother is a big dude and when he gets mad, if you can't beat him, it's like he sees red and he might really hurt somebody. So I never wanted to put him in that situation. So I would avoid even going to things with my brother. And, you know, so again, like I know the difference between being protected by a man and controlled by a man. So I have so much love for my dad. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. I could talk for the rest of the day about things he's taught me. I'm not going to, you know, go super long on that. I have another video I did on my other page where I do talk about it more. But I also want to, oh my God. I'm sorry. I hate flies. I hate flies. It's like if their existence isn't bad enough, they have to keep touching you and flying past your ear, making all this goddamn noise. This shit. I hate flies. Sorry. But I also want to talk about the men who are being alienated from their kids, okay? Who are heartbroken. Like, apparently, like, and this has been, like, lately I've been seeing men talk about the amount of men that commit suicide, okay? Who have been alienated from their kids. And to me, the only justification for a mom trying to keep her children away from the father is if the father is a legit and proven child molester, like R. Kelly, okay? Or they are, you think that the father might kill the child or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But if it's not that, then there's no, I'm totally not with that. And there are women who they had some breakup with the father. I don't care if he cheated on you with 20 women. I don't care if he had a family outside the marriage. I don't care. None of those to me are good reasons to keep your child from their father, because it does such damage to the child, but it also really damages that man. And it breaks my heart to hear about, you know, this idea that women are more connected to the child. That's not always the case. Sometimes the father is more connected to the child than the mother, okay? And I know for me, my dad said, you know, I have a twin. He told me that when my brother and I were born, and he watched my mom breastfeed us, he said he, in some ways, was a little jealous because he felt like he could never get that close to us. He could never get that close to us. So he said he did everything else he could in his power to make up for the fact that he couldn't breastfeed. So he bathed us. He did everything. And then, of course, our first words was dada. But a lot of people say that tends to be the case because it's easier for babies to say. But my mom was upset about that. But my dad was right there, changing diapers, cooking for us, doing everything. Everything. And my dad was a stay-at-home dad for a lot of years because he was a journalist. So he worked from home. So he was working, but he was writing all day. And my mother was a union organizer. And so she would be leaving out, going to Columbia University, doing her union stuff. And my dad was the one who would be there with us all day. So my dad also cooked. My mother cooked, my dad cooked. They both cleaned. They both were there, you know? And just having that balance. And it's just like, I'm just truly a daddy's girl. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my dad. When it comes to both of my parents, I'm very much into, you know, watching their health, making sure they're eating the right things. You know, I'm very, you know, bossy and interruptive in what they're doing, which is one of the reasons why I also when I go to New York, I cook a lot. You know, both of my parents cook a lot. My mother's a great cook. I'm not really a fan of eating my dad's food, but they both love my food so much. And cooking is one of my love languages. Like, if I love you and care about you, and that's not just romantically. It's romantically, but it's also family. It's my parents. It's anybody who I love and care about. I love to cook for them. And I cook good food, but you know, if you follow me here, you know that I cook with the best ingredients. So my food is delicious and nutritious. But I want both of my parents to live a long life. I want both of my parents to make it as close to 100 as possible with all their faculties. You know, not having any serious health problems or anything. And so I don't take, the things that I know and my skills for granted. I will do anything for my dad because my dad has always been in my life. He's always showed me so much love. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say he was perfect, okay? But he was a great dad. And I just want to say happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I want to say to any woman, okay, who is purposely trying to keep your kids away from their father, you should go to hell for that shit, okay? Because that's not cool at all. Some of these women, they might be doing it because they're trying to punish the man. They're trying to hurt him. But you're hurting your kids too. And a lot of men and women have serious damn issues who didn't have a father. Every man that I've been in a relationship with, he has, daddy issues. His dad wasn't there. His dad was a piece of shit. And I'm just going to say this last thing and I'm going to end, but recently I've been seeing these conversations on social media, in the past few days, where certain black people are saying, oh, they need to cancel Father's Day celebrations in the schools because it's unfair to young black kids because so many of them don't have fathers and it makes them feel bad. I disagree with that. I disagree with canceling Father's Day celebrations in the schools because some kids don't have a dad. Because that's not everybody's narrative. And every holiday can be triggering for people. Mother's Day can be triggering for people too. There's people who don't have a mom. My mother's mother died when she was 4 years old. And weirdly enough, my father's father died when he was 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? But when I was a kid, I used to cry at the thought that my mom didn't have a mother. To me, that was the most depressing thing. I'm like, you didn't have a mom? I used to start crying. My mom was like, it's okay, sweetie. I was so little, I didn't remember her. But my mom was the youngest of 7. So she was 4. So she had other siblings who were 12 and 14. Now imagine losing your mom at that point. You know what I'm saying? And my mom said when she was growing up, if you didn't have a mother, you had to wear a yellow flower on your shirt or something like that. Everybody knew you didn't have a mom. It was super depressing. You have mothers who've lost babies, lost kids. People lost that. Mother's Day can be triggering for people too. That doesn't mean that we need to cancel Mother's Day celebrations. Every holiday could be triggering for people. But no, we don't need to cancel it. So this whole idea, no, I'm not with that. Yeah, I did just say that on my other page. I did. So I think I got the point across. I just want to say happy Father's Day to the fathers. You are needed and appreciated. I have a very soft spot for fathers and daughters, okay? And so much so, I had to be let me stop being selfish with the father-daughter thing. Because I do have a twin brother, and my dad was in his life too, and he had his effect on my brother. But it's little girls, they have stars in their eyes when it comes to their dad, which is one of the reasons why I loved watching Barack and his daughters, okay? Because you could see Barack Obama was a great father. He had so much love for his wife that he expressed publicly. But he was very close to his daughters, and you could tell they loved their dad. And I love seeing that. I have a very soft spot for fathers and daughters because I know that daughters who have their fathers in their life, they have a loving dad. It does so much for their self-esteem. It does so much for what they can get pulled into and brainwashed into. A lot of times they're not just falling for the okie doke and the bullshit. They're not just accepting anything because they want a man's love. No. It has a huge psychological, this page, The Body Scientist, is about health, but psychology is also about health. And being in healthy relationships affects your health. Being in toxic relationships affects your health in a negative way, right? And alienating men from their children affects their health. Okay? And so my heart goes out to the men who are dealing with that. What I'm going to say to you is any men who are dealing with situations where the mother is doing her best to keep you from your kids, fight. Don't give up. Fight. Because a lot of men give up because it gets too hard. Don't do it. Fight. Because in the end, your child might love you anyway, or they might not. So if you're going to fight for anything, fight for your kids, okay? Yes, true. Toxic relationships destroy your mind. They mess with your hormones. They can cause all kind of chronic illnesses and make you die an early death, okay? So to those of you who, have different issues, work on it. Work on yourself. My heart goes out to you. Happy Father's Day to all the amazing fathers out there. And if you're not being a good father, shame on you. Get to your shit, okay? All right, people. I hope you all have a great day. Bye.